Hello my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to the first part of my brand new series entitled Brandon's Favorite Movies. Now, being the huge film buff that I am, people often ask me what my favorite all-time movie is. And in terms of motion pictures of the animated genre, I definitely have to go with something along the lines of Roadside Romeo, Secret of NIMH, or Toy Story, something of that nature. However, in terms of the live-action genre, there's only one particular film that I consider to be practically perfect in every way imaginable. And what film is that? Why, none other than Robert Zemeckis' Back to the Future. The film stars Michael J. Fox as young Marty McFly, a down-on-his-luck teenager who is looked upon as a slacker to his principal, a talent by his girlfriend, Jennifer, and as the most awkward family ever, with his wimpy dad George constantly being hounded by his own boss Biff, played by Thomas F. Wilson, and his depressing, down-on-her-luck mother Lorraine, played by Leah Thompson. The only real friend in his life is a mad scientist named Dr. Emmett Lathrop Brown, played brilliantly by Christopher Lloyd, who is aided by Marty for help with a little experiment involving a DeLorean that, when pushed or driven at 88 miles per hour and generated by 1.21 gigawatts of electricity, can actually travel through time!
Travel through time? I'm doing it! Wow!
However, due to some unforeseen and dramatic circumstances, Marty finds himself in the DeLorean and accidentally hurls himself back in time to the year of 1955. He finds the 50s version of Doc Brown, played also by Christopher Lloyd, and tries to get him to help Marty get back to the year 1985. They discover that in a few nights, a lightning bolt will strike the famous clock tower of their city, and that bolt will actually be able to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity needed to get Marty back home. However, bad news! Marty met his younger father, played by the wacky Crispin Glover, and single-handedly and accidentally prevented his parents from meeting, as now Marty's younger mother has the hots for him. I know, this is heavy. So he must try to find some way to get them back together. However, if that was not bad enough, Marty must also find a way to avoid the school bully, Biff, and keep him away from Lorraine.
That's a lot of information to get.
Now there are several reasons why I consider this to be one of the greatest movies ever made, if not just my favorite movie of all time. First of all, there's the incredibly clever writing done by Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale, and just the plot idea alone. I mean, the story at the core of this movie is getting a glimpse of your parents at a younger age. And I'm sure we've all heard our parents' stories. I had to go uphill to school in 5 feet of snow. And it's actually a pretty interesting idea to see how much of that is actually true or not. And it makes for a really interesting story to see this young kid who was raised in a time period 30 years prior go forward 30 years, past 30 years, to see how much of the stories his parents told him were actually true or not, and to see just how different his parents really are. The second great thing about this movie is the incredible chemistry between Michael J. Fox as Marty and Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. This is, I think, is one of the granddaddies of buddy movies. I mean, you see these two together and it's just the pacing and the acting and the writing, It's all just spot on, pitch perfect, and Fox and Lloyd hit every note well. There's also the wonderful, wonderful score by composer Alan Silvestri. And one of the great things that I love about Alan Silvestri's scores, particularly in Zemeckis' movies, is that, as mentioned on one of the documentaries for Back to the Future, Zemeckis gave Silvestri one clear distinction, is that he wanted the music to feel bigger than the movie itself. And that's definitely what it does in spades. The music, it builds up, it's relaxing, it's adventurous, it's fast, it's slow. It's sort of like taking you on a grand roller coaster ride of adventure that's all told through music. In fact, if you were to mute the video of the movie and just listen to the music on its own, it would pretty much feel like you were actually on an actual adventure, and you'd probably be just as breathless by the end of it, I'm sure. The fourth great thing about this movie is the great acting from the supporting members of the cast. That's Crispin Glover as the young and old version of Marty's father, George, and he's just as wacky and wimpy and just all around of a mess as you'd probably expect Crispin Glover to be. Probably not as much now because he's much more wacky in real life, but yeah, he was really great in the movie. Leah Thompson was nicely cast as Marty's mother, Lorraine, who develops a crush on him when Marty goes back to 1955. And she's just as hilarious as in any movie she's in. That's right, I actually liked her in Howard the Duck. So, Tom Wilson is also great as the bully Biff. It's actually really funny because when you look at Tom Wilson in the stand-up, he's actually very, very fast-paced and very sort of awkward. And in fact, like me, he was actually a band geek in real life, so it's actually pretty fun to see a guy who claims to have a nerdy life like that play a bully. He is just perfect with lines like, "Make like a tree and get out of here." And he just hits it right out of the freaking park, he does. Another great insight about this movie is the production design alone by Lawrence G. Paul. This movie looks brilliant, and the way that they were able to make it look like the actual real life of 1955, it looks pretty clear and distinct. I've seen pictures from 50s and some of the town's squares and the clothing, and I think they really did a good job of making it look like this was actually another time period, and it actually kind of felt like you could actually step back into that time period and just reach out and touch it. And from the clothing to the stores, the general stores, the prom dance, the school, the music, it's all just pitch perfect with these sets. But the next great thing about the movie is the direction by Robert Zemeckis, which is top notch, and pretty much every joke and scene is where it needs to be in the overall theme of the story. And I'm sure there's some people out there who will pretty much find plot holes and really just nitpick this movie to death, but really when you get down to it, it's a perfectly structured movie, and the editing and the scenes pacing and the writing and the acting and everything is just totally pitch perfect. I think this is actually one of those first movies where I can actually literally find nothing wrong with it, despite the fact that there may be a few plot holes that I just tend to let fly over my head, like Peanut says. Whee! But the true core of this movie is the emotional struggle of, this is going to be I'm not going to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but the great thing about the movie is the emotional struggle towards the end, where someone needs to let someone know what's going to happen in the future, and the other person won't let them tell themselves about, you know, the future events that are going to happen. And I'm sure if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But that's one of the things that I love about this movie, is the emotional struggle between letting people know the future and keeping, you know, friends, you know, safe. You know, friendship is a great message to take from this movie. The strength of good friendship. Overall, when I get down to it, Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time, live action or otherwise. And we'll get to my favorite animated movie next time we get together on this particular series, but yes, Back to the Future is my all-time favorite live-action movie. It has great writing, great acting, great music, great production, just all-around greatness in it. Great Scottness, I should say. And frankly, if any person who hasn't seen it can't find something to like in this movie, or at least smile or laugh at once, then just make like a tree and get out of here. Thanks for joining me for this little video series part 1, guys. And join me next time as we take a look at some more of my favorite movies in the future.
Tell me, future boy, who's president of the United States in 1985?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan? The actor? Then who's vice president? Jerry Lewis?
When I'm flying in a plane or I'm on the street, there's a lot of famous people that I like to meet. They shake my hand and never ask my name, and they start asking questions that are always the same. Hey, what's Michael J. Fox like? He's nice. What's Michael J. Fox like? Nice guy. What's Michael J. Fox like? He's an alien. Stop asking me the question. I went to the bar mitzvah of my nephew Josh. Now I'm not Jewish, but I like to nosh. Put on my yarmulke, started to pray, when the rabbi leaned over and I heard him say, hey, was that real manure? No, it wasn't. Was that real manure? No. Was that real manure? It's a movie. Stop asking me the question. Can we take your picture? Come on, look mean. Would you call my friend a butthead on his answering machine? Hey, questions, just fill my head. I went to my doctor said, hey, what does a key grip do? Set up lights. What does the best boy do? Help the key grip. What does a producer do? I don't know. Stop asking me the question. Do you all hang out together? No, we don't. How's Crispin Glover? Never talk to him. Back to the Future 4. Not happening. Stop asking me the question. Hey, who's the nicest famous guy you know? Adam Sandler. Who is the biggest jerk? Gary Busey. How much money do you make? More than you do. So stop asking me the question. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for coming out. God bless. Good night.
Next time on Brandon's favorite movies.
Romeo.
Romeo? Count Romeo.
Good one. No, Romeo. Like Romeo.
Them to them, Romeo.